What's the worst movie you've seen from start to finish? The live action Woody the Woodpecker movie. Yes, it exists. And it's on Netflix. Manus Hands of Fate. I was told the MST3K version was going to be funny. Movie caused me physical pain. The MST3K version makes it humanly watchable. Even then it's a hard task to get through it. Hellraiser 4. Then 5. Then 6. 7. 8. Then after 9. I had a renewed appreciation for 4. 7. I refuse to watch the new one. The worst part is, I've seen them all more than once. Do you hate yourself? Pain and pleasure. Indivisible. We have such sides to show you. Ballistic X vs. Sever. The best thing I can say about this movie is that I completely forgot it even existed until this very moment. Skyline. 90% of the movie is just them cowering in a high-rise apartment. The end credits are far better than the movie. An hour and a half of people hiding in an apartment. 2 minutes of Pacific Rim. I know it's a meme at this point, but Dragon Ball Evolution is genuinely fucking awful. Even if you aren't a fan of the anime/manga, which, full disclosure, I grew up with and loved. It's just hot garbage. I only sat through the entirety of it because my friend asked me to watch it with him. I don't think I'll ever fully understand Hollywood and their reasoning for drastically changing a piece of media from its source material. At the end of the day it only had surface level similarities. It's like, why even call it by its original title then? To pull in the original fans? They're gonna hate it the moment the trailer drops. I just don't get it. Lol. Fun fact, I worked on that movie, VFX. It's the only credit I've ever removed from my IMDb. This past weekend, my son had his birthday, and he wanted to go to a scary movie with his friends. The only movie that looked remotely scary was Gretel and Hansel. It was not scary, it was bad. It was opening night, and a grand total of about 12 people were in the theater. It was so boring. At least a quarter left before it was half over. There's a plot twist near the end. For most movies, you think, wow, I didn't see that coming, or I totally saw that coming. In this movie, you just think, well, that happened. It landed like a dead salmon tossed on wet concrete. It was awful. It landed like a dead salmon tossed on wet concrete. I love your use of simile. The latest Sherlock Holmes film with Will Ferrell. The movie started with about 20 people, but I was the only one who stuck around long enough to see the end credits. When I saw this in theaters as well, when it was over, some guy behind me said to his buddies, well, that's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. Battlefield Earth. I was taking a minibus from Christchurch to Dunedin and there was a TV at the front and a selection of DVDs including Battlefield Earth. The driver asked the passengers which one we should watch, and I said not Battlefield Earth. It's supposed to be terrible. He thought it would be so bad it's good, so put it on. God, it was dire. When it was my stop and he went to get my luggage, he actually apologized and said he should have listened. Wait. The driver was watching the movie, listening. But that was enough. Funnily enough, in Roger Ebert's review he said enduring Battlefield Earth in a theater was like taking a bus trip with someone who has needed a bath for a long time. That animated movie, Alpha and Omega. Such a mess. I'm not allowed to choose the movie anymore with my family. Did you know there are 7 sequels? What? It's basically The Land Before Time with CG. Just cheap movies put out to keep your kids busy for an hour. You take that back. LBT was a shit. It's called The Horse Dancer. It's about a gymnast who, for some reason, goes to a horse camp. It's basically an advertisement for a real riding camp, and features some of the worst dialogue and acting I have ever seen in my life. One scene that stands out is the head counselor absolutely losing her shit because someone did something that put the camp at risk. Total overacting. 10/10ths entertainment. The third Jeepers Creepers. Say what you want about the first and second. I see those as classic with a hint of dark comedy, but the third, TRASH. Fantastic Four, 2015, legitimately went that's it, at the end. 95% of the movie is boring uninterested dialogue, 5% boss fight. The Last Airbender, I was a big fan of the show. So when the movie came out I convinced my friends to go and see it. They were skeptical at first, but I was sure they would like it. It was the Avatar after all. And then it started. And it was absolute shit. I never cringed so hard in my entire life. Every time I thought it can't get any worse the movie proved me otherwise. Worst of all it wasn't even funny bad. It was incredibly boring and cringy. And it just kept on going. I still feel bad that I made them watch it. I felt a similar way when I first saw the movie. Shyamalan just butchered the whole series. And all the characters' names. Like YTF do they pronounce Angan? Food fight my dudes. Easily the ugliest thing ever created. Also clearly aimed at children, but so many bad sexual puns. Edit. I just remember Darkstar. Watching that caused me physical pain. I think it may be worse than Food Fight. Food Fight is not Seth Rogen's Sausage Party. Got to be Highlander 2. A sequel that isn't just unnecessary, but completely craps all over the emotional beats of the original, and ruins everything by giving a half-baked explanation to things nobody needed answers to. My wife and I turned it off after watching, and declared that it didn't happen and doesn't exist. It's that bad. Tall girl. Size 13 Nikes. Men size 13 Nikes. Beat that. The Swimmer, 1968. It's a full-length movie, based on a short story. It's about a dude who walks through the woods into his friends' backyards, talks to them for a bit, then swims across their pool, and goes to the next house. My dad keeps it recorded on our TV as a way to get guests to leave our house. I feel like you did a too good job of describing it. Now I want to see it. I feel like I've already seen it just from Op's description. The Circle. The one with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. I was so disappointed in that movie. The cast should have been great. And the book was great. But that movie was just WTF. In the Name of the King. I figure it stars Jason Statham. I'm a sucker for his movies. Plus a bunch of other big names: Burt Reynolds, Ray Liotta, Ron Perlman, etc. How bad can it be? I figure it would be a cookie cutter medieval movie with some badass Statham head kicks. OMG. It's so bad. Like so bad. Birdemic. The acting. The CGI. There are no words. Jack and Jill. Transformers: The Last Night. The only reason I didn't walk out was because my brother was there. I later found out that he wanted to leave too, but the only reason he didn't was because I was there. It was horrific. The tragedy of the Transformers movies for me was that I wanted to love them. I can't stand any of them. I know it just came out, but honestly Cats, it's just bad. I went with friends to laugh at how bad it was, and it was a fun time. For 30 minutes. After that it was just hard to sit through. It was just hard to sit through. I felt that way during the 2-minute trailer. Not even Idris Elba can save that piece of shit. One of my favorite pieces of trivia is that all the actors went to cat school for 2 months to learn how to act like cats except for Ian McKellen, who told them to go fuck themselves. Edit. I'm deeply saddened to learn that Sir Ian did attend cat school. I learned of said trivia fact on a review of Cats and did not fact check it because who the fuck cares? It's Cats. Cat school? You're telling me cat school is a thing? And that Idris Elba and Judi Dench and Rebel Wilson and Jennifer Hudson all took 2 months of their valuable time for their blow-off roles in this hairball movie to attend said cat school? I'm suspicious. Eragon. That movie was so bad that it made me wish I had never enjoyed the books, so that I wouldn't have thought seeing the movie was a good idea. I actually really liked the movie. Then I read the book and now the movie makes me angry. That's how I was with Percy Jackson. It's honestly impressive how they can take good source material and make such bad movies. Emoji Movie. And before you ask, my brother's wife downloaded it for a weekend trip without service. I watch every movie with Patrick Stewart in it. This is the only time I've regretted that. His character was crap. Jiggly. It was absolutely awful. Terrible writing. Wooden acting. Showcasing J.Lo and Affleck's romance. The soundtrack was designed by taping tracks to a dartboard. The only bright spot in the entire movie is when Christopher Walken randomly wanders on set and spouts nonsense, then leaves as suddenly as he arrived. However, 1 minute of levity doesn't make up for the other 2 hours. Has anybody seen the movie Ant-Boy? Or was that just a fever dream I had? Oh, I remember seeing that on Netflix. My little brother wanted to watch Ant-Man because I told him it was good, and she turned Ant-Boy on instead thinking they were the same. Was it dubbed from another language or something?